Dead Island, Rise and Fall. The games we are discussing today might share some similarities with already existing games, but there is a speck of uniqueness to this particular game in many aspects, if you may. A world rife with missions, eye-opening environments and surroundings, a character-scaling mechanism that'll leave you thirsty for more game time, a gritty role-playing vibe, ample amounts of gore, and so on. You can trust us on the fact that this game is nothing short of a spectacle that you can rely on to give you a great time.
On three. 1, 2, fuck it, 3!
Rise of Dead Island. The storyline of Dead Island might seem pretty linear, and here's how it goes. In the island of Banoi, off the coast of Papua New Guinea, is a wild and intimidating abundance of land, which is off limits to modern communities, with beautiful sceneries and terrains like rainforests, mountainous regions, and beachy stretches. Suddenly, something sinister is found, and all hell breaks loose. This is the foundation of what goes on to become a grand time spent playing this game. The game begins with an unnamed guest walking around a hotel in a drunken stupor during a birthday party. In the process, the character meets the other heroes of the game one after the other. After spending the night at the hotel, they wake up and they find the entire place empty and overrun by a group of unusual species known as the Infected. They manage to escape the ambush aided by a voice coming through the hotel's PA system. They are shortly knocked over by a zombie. When they wake up, they find themselves in a hut by the beach with a few other survivors too. They join forces to help secure the hut from the invasion of the zombies and also help in evacuating the people to the more safer lifeguard tower. From here on out, they go scrounging for supplies, gas, food and drink so as to survive, and more importantly, a stronger receiver to connect with the voice that had been guiding them. All this eventually leads them to travel back to the main city on the island called Moresby. They finally return to the hotel and gain access to an armored truck and fortify it so that it becomes impenetrable. They meet a mechanic who asks them to take his daughter with them, named Jin, so as to protect her. It is revealed that the mechanic has been bitten and will soon turn infected. They finally continue on their mission with Jin in their team now. On reaching Moresby, they hear church bells which they follow, only to find that they are survivors there, trying to fend off more zombies. They encounter a kind soul in the form of Mother Helen, who advises them on how to acquire more supplies. Following her instructions, the group sets forward with the aim of laying their hands on the supplies. It is not without difficulty that the group finally gets their supplies, fighting looters and zombies on their way. Jin, amidst all this chaos, gets caught up with a wild mob of bandits, after which she gets rescued by the heroes. After supplying resources to the church and the lifeguard tower, the group heads back to the hotel. Eventually, we get to know the name behind the voice from the speaker, Mr. Ryder White, who is employed as a colonel in the Banoi Island Defense Force. He informs them that he is stationed at Prison Island, located in the middle of the bay. The heroes follow his instructions, albeit reluctantly, to travel into the beautiful Minjent jungle to look for a man named Moen, who can guide them to a laboratory which can conjure up a cure for the infection, which White needs to help his wife, who was bitten. As they are traveling, they come across a village that has been violently raided by a hostile warlord named Afran. The leader of the village, who goes by the name Matutero, is aware of Moen, but agrees to take them to him only if the heroes help in restoring their village and protecting it from Afran. On reaching the lab, everyone is seen working to help restore it to its full functionality. However, to create the cure, the scientists require tissue samples from some natives who have been found to be immune to the infection. In the process of collecting the sample, they meet and rescue a girl named Yerema. The lab shortly gets overrun by zombies and the only survivors are Yerema and the cure that was safely stored in a fridge. They slowly make their way to the prison, where they are in contact with White again. As they take an elevator to meet him, they are gassed and become unconscious. As soon as they wake up, a prisoner named Kevin conveys that White was the one who gassed them and absconded with the cure. White's original plan was to destroy the island to completely curb the spreading of the infection while also curing his wife. A tremendous battle ensues, with Jin losing her life and White injecting himself with the cure as his wife bites him. A tremendous battle ensues, with Jin losing her life and White injecting himself with the cure as his wife bites him. However, the cure only turns him into something worse, a mutated monster, which the heroes finally subdue with all their might. They all fly safely to a naval fleet in the distance, leaving behind the chaos. When it comes to gameplay, the game has a wonderfully designed open-world environment which is enjoyed in first person and set on the tropical island of Banoi. The island is sprawling with a jungle, resorts and a city. There is a multi-level damage mechanism which helps to indicate the intensity and type of injury and the weapon that caused it. You can find a lot of safe houses or strongholds scattered over the area, such as the famed lighthouse and a church that the player can be a part of. There are bandits who inhabit hostile and dangerous regions. The common enemies you will find are the slow-walking zombies, which include the likes of rams and thugs. You will find that most games follow along the lines of the same idea when it comes to post-apocalyptic game. However, Dead Island focuses more on melee and combat than guns and such. You can see that combat weapons are more in quantity than firearms. You can obtain these in metal chests that you trade with merchants or by completing missions. Weapons also have standard upgradation and modification for maximum efficiency. A level up interface along with XP points help boost the player's attributes and abilities. They can be used to upgrade combat, fury and survival abilities. The open world aspect of Dead Island allows players to follow their own pace to enjoy the game. The game is filled with collectibles and weapons to obtain, as well as commoners that require to be rescued. There have been multiple spin-offs and extensions created from and for Dead Island, namely Dead Island Riptide 2013, a follow-up to the Dead Island franchise. This game is set in the fictional South Pacific island of Palanai and focuses on what happens after the previous game survivors manage to leave the island of Banoi and then find themselves stuck in Palanai. Gamers are able to play as one of 4 survivors, each of whom has a unique skill set. To get to the bottom of the mysteries and finally flee the place, they have to battle loads of infected on the way, naturally. It has the evergreen open world element as well, where players can forage for items, materials, create weapons, and defend themselves against the zombie ambush ahead. Escape Dead Island 2014. Survival horror game Escape Dead Island is set within the Dead Island universe. An affluent media mogul's son, Cliff Callow, is determined to discover the truth behind a mysterious outbreak on Banoi Island, the setting of the original Dead Island game. Gameplay revolves around stealth, puzzle solving, and combat on Narapela, an island neighboring Banoi. In order to find clues and uncover the secrets of the outbreak, players must sneak past or fight the infected. It features an art style that distinguishes it from other games in the franchise, featuring hand-drawn graphics. Additionally, a psychological element is present in the game as Cliff's sanity slowly deteriorates as he progresses through the story. Its combination of survival horror, stealth, puzzle-solving mechanisms, as well as its unique art style and psychological elements adds a fresh spin to the Dead Island universe. Dead Island Epidemic 2014. Dead Island Epidemic was a free-to-play multiplayer online battle arena (MOBA) game set in the Dead Island universe. It featured fast-paced action and strategic gameplay with players battling against each other as well as hordes of zombies. Different types of characters were available, each with different abilities and weapons, and players could battle through a variety of game modes including Capture the Flag and King of the Hill. In addition, the game featured a crafting system that allowed players to create new weapons and items to aid them in their survival efforts. Players were also able to customize their characters with different skins and cosmetic items. Unfortunately, the game was shut down in 2015 due to lack of player interest and development resources being shifted to other projects. Despite its short lifespan, Dead Island Epidemic offered a unique take on the Dead Island universe with its fast-paced MOBA gameplay and intense zombie battles. It expands on the story of one of the supporting characters of the original game, John Cinnamon. Dead Island Definitive Edition 2016. The Definitive Edition is a remastered version of the original 2011 Dead Island game. The revised graphics and gameplay mechanics in this Definitive Edition include enhanced character models, texturing, dynamic weather effects and lighting. It also comes with all the previously published DLCs such as the Bloodbath Arena and the Rider White expansions, as well as includes new elements such as new upheaved user interface and a photo mode. It also includes a co-op multiplayer aspect, allowing you to battle the infected with your gang together. Fall of Dead Island. After the release of the first game, the Dead Island franchise looked to be on course for being among the pinnacle of zombie post-apocalyptic games. In 2014, a trailer for a sequel was released and had the hardcore fans of the game and genre hyped up alike. The confusing part is, it's been about a decade and there is nothing to show for the development of a sequel to Dead Island. The few reasons that the general public has come to know are that the publisher, Deep Silver, has found it difficult to maintain cohesiveness with the developers. Jaeger, the dev house that produced Spec Ops: The Line, was initially slated to be in charge of the Dead Island sequel, but both of these organizations could not see eye to eye on many decisions and hence had to part ways with each other. In 2016, the company, Sumo Digital, took over development plans, only for them also to jump ship later on. Now, Deep Silver has taken things into its own hands by assigning the task to Dambuster, an internal studio of its own. All of these factors have led to the sequel being stuck in what we call development hell. This aspect was mocked by other studios in the industry. The publisher of the Goat Simulator series, Coffee Stain Studios, has released a trailer for Goat Simulator 3, despite not even having released Goat Simulator 2 at the time, which mimicked the Dead Island trailer ditto with crazy sheep in place of the undead. One thing that is noteworthy is the change in tone of the sequel, with its trailer more on the comedic side of things as compared to the intense emotional portrayal of the first game. The game faced another obstacle, which was its terrible marketing, which may also render the franchise irrelevant to the fans at this point in time. With the right marketing push, it can land a legendary comeback from the dead, pun intended. With a lot of major titles slated to release in 2023, Dead Island definitely requires marketing to make it stand out amongst all the releases. The wait for Dead Island 2 is almost over. Dead Island 2 has been in a complicated state of dormancy with regards to development and production for a long while now. But there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel for it at the moment, as it is noted for release for some time around April this year. This was confirmed rather ambiguously by Embracer, the company that owns Deep Silver. We also now know that the game is set in the open world renditions of San Francisco and Los Angeles, and that it has more modified melee combat, craft mechanisms and such. Unlike the original game, Dead Island 2 has the Rage mechanism feature, which helps you reach a new height of strength owing to some unlucky bite that allows the power of the undead to flow right through you. There is also increased gore in this game, if it wasn't already evident from the re-announcement trailer, with zombies exploding and being obliterated everywhere. This appeals to quite a few zombie fanatics. Clearly, LA is referred to as Hell A, which is the only thing we are really skeptical of. The website of the franchise dubs it as a thrilling pulp experience, so we can keep our eyes peeled for high-octane action throughout the game. It is also slated to have multiplayer options and cross-platform functionality too. As a recent update, Dead Island just dropped its extended trailer on the 2nd of March. It takes us through the eyes of Danny, one of the 6 players slaying through streets of Bel Air in LA. She is infected but also somehow immune to the infection. She is foul-mouthed and hails from Ireland. They also show off their new dismemberment technology called Flesh, which makes everything as gory as ever. Players can also upgrade their weapons using the workbenches that can be found everywhere around LA. Each type of the monsters that you encounter presents itself as a different challenge. The skill cards also enhance the Slayer's abilities and powers. It is evident that you can make use of your environments to your benefit benefit like batteries to canisters, etc. Regardless, the biggest doubt in everyone's mind is whether this game can deliver on all fronts, especially after such a long hiatus. As of now, the release date is said to be April the 21st. Things may seem stacked in their favor, but you never know what's in store in the new era of video games. We hope that this sequel will be something genuinely special, making all the false hopes, direction changes, and creative differences worthy of obstacles rather than a shell of a video game put together from dead-end attempts to revive it. The trailer has given us a lot to go off on and has surely teased us excellently.